Newsmax host Greg Kelly doesn't believe that impeachment should be happening and doesn't seem to think that what happened on January 6th was a big deal. But that might be because he has a very interesting idea of what actually happened on January 6th. Take a look at this.
Believe begins tomorrow, or the trial. They already impeached President Trump. We know it's a joke. We know he's not responsible for what happened on Capitol Hill. He specifically said, march peacefully and patriotically. We all heard that, right? By the way, if he really did break the law, they could charge him in DC court. They could, but he didn't, so they can't, all right? The thing is a joke. They've been lying about so much, including, by the way, that 5 people died on January 6th, 2021. It's not true. Only 1 person died on that day. You know who it was? The unarmed woman, Ashli Babbitt. Unarmed woman shot and killed by Capitol Police. We've heard very, very little about that case. And you know what? That bothers me.
So I don't know exactly how to respond to that. I'm taking it seriously because Newsmax now occasionally beats Fox News in the ratings. So in theory, they're a serious thing. But it is not true that only 1 person died. At least 5 people died on that day. Others died afterward. He thinks it was only that 1 person. So we had been all worried about the fact that they beat a cop to death and tried to beat other cops to death. But he apparently just denies that that happened at all. What are we supposed to say in that case? He's got tons of people watching him that I guess don't have to think about the cognitive dissonance of saying that they support the blue, but that they're the people who agree with them beat a cop to death, because they don't have to accept that it actually happened at all.
Yeah, these are outlets and pundits that didn't really care during the George Floyd uprising over the summer about police brutality. Now all of a sudden, when someone's breaking it, and these are people who were, for Breonna Taylor was sleeping, for George Floyd, who was allegedly using a counterfeit 20 and then had a knee on his neck for 7 minutes. Those are blatant murders, and now you have someone breaking into the Capitol, being shot because she was breaking through a busted window despite being told no. And like now all of a sudden they're like, wow, this is so tragic. We need to talk about this more. It's like, yes, we should talk about police killings, but we should talk about all of them. And to frame this as some sort of like innocent victim, I think is a bit rich after their blind eyes for years. So yeah, from that to ignoring other people that were killed, ignoring the violence and barbarism and destruction throughout the rest of the insurrection. It's just so funny to see this heel turn from people like that at Newsmax. But while we want to just kind of dismiss them as some fringe outlet, it's not. It's becoming more popular because people are ever increasingly turning to more and more fringe content like that, because just they've been thrown red meat for years by Fox. Once Fox finally realized, like, oh, we can't really do this anymore. We're getting sued. We're losing advertisers. Like everything is starting to, come into jeopardy. Then they went to Newsmax. They go to OAN. They're going to go somewhere else after that. So this is just, you've created this problem, and now they've just cannibalized the mainstream institutions, and they're moving on.
Yeah. And look, I'm glad to say, related to you were talking about BLM, I'm glad to see that a Newsmax host thinks that a person being unarmed matters. Of course, the context was that she was surrounded by tons of these people who were armed, but they're ignoring that part. But I think, look, they've had a little bit of a rough time over the past couple of months because they sort of rose to prominence by just straight lying about the election, and then they discovered, making these very specific slanderous comments about a corporation in America where corporations rule is gonna get you in some trouble. And so there were lawsuits and stuff like that. And I guess they've been searching for obvious lies that they're allowed to tell, and just saying that like the cop didn't die, only this 1 person died. I guess you can say, I guess that's not slanderous from the point of view of the family of the cop who was beaten to death by these Trump fans. I guess they can say that. But like if you're watching that and you're a right winger, you know that you've heard that a cop died and other protesters died. It's just such a weird, specific false claim to make that I don't know how to respond. It's just not true. But every one of his fans, man, they don't think that, like, they think that fact checking is some sort of plot cooked up by George Soros. So I guess we just have to move on. But if you're watching this and you're confused, let me remind you, more than one person died on that day.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.